Swordsmith Village arc was pretty underwhelming for most fans, so let's change that. What if Gyomei went to the Swordsmith Village instead of either Moichiro or Mitsuri? Will he wipe the floor with the upper moons, or will he fall short in dealing with this ordeal? Let's find out before my mom finds out I'm making what if videos again. This scenario can play out in two ways. One where Gyomei replaces Mitsuri, the other where Gyomei replaces Moichiro. So, let's get to the first one. Gyomei arrives at the Swordsmith Village in a carriage pulled by the Kakushis, because, you know, the dude is too big to be carried by a single Kakushi. However, being the mentor of Genya, both of them arrive at the village at the same time, followed by Mitsuri and Tanjiro. While Tanjiro gets to meet Mitsuri outside the hot springs, he gets to have a deep conversation with Gyomei, while Genya scoffs in the background. Gyomei once again inquires about Tanjiro's resolve to treat his sister and convert her into a human again, which he seems adamant to do. A few weeks pass, and Tanjiro meets up with Kotetsu, who, after much conflict, is moved by Tanjiro's words and lets him practice with Yorichi's doll. However, this time around, as Tanjiro decapitates the doll and breaks it, instead of Yorichi's sword coming out of the replica, he spots a huge red subscribe button, which he immediately spams to 2K subscribers with the sword. Just kidding. He collects the sword and later submits it to Nezuko for fixing. Later that night, Genya, who's fed up with Tanjiro's friendly advances towards him, paces towards his room in order to warn him for the final time. However, as he enters Tanjiro's room at the same time, Hantengu invades it, which forces Genya to shoot the demon without a second thought. Tanjiro too goes for his sword, but before he can do so, Sekido separates from Hantengu's body and unleashes lightning on the Slayer. Genya tries to reload his gun, but before he could punch in any more bullets, he's pushed out of the room by Karaku, who's emerged from Hantengu's body as well. Nezuko erupts out of the box in order to help her brother. However, before she could attack Sekido, both the demons get their heads rolled on the floor. Sekido and Karaku further start dividing into Aisetsu and Yurogi. However, before they can fully form, Gyomei whips his chains inside the room and pulls all four of the demons out into the open. Tanjiro grabs his sword, and before he can rush out and fight the demon, he notices that Gyomei and Genya have already decapitated the heads of all four of them. However, Tanjiro refused to believe that killing an upper moon was turning out to be this easy. Suddenly, his suspicions turn to reality as he catches the smell of another demon running amok in the forest. He immediately informs Gyomei as he rushes out towards the forest along with Nezuko to take care of him. Gyomei advises Genya to follow Tanjiro as he is enough to hold back the four forms of Hantengu. Sekido, realizing that they'll lose the battle, eventually decides to summon Zohakuten by merging all their bodies. However, the appearance of this new threat doesn't even bother Gyomei in the slightest. Meanwhile, Mitsuri takes care of the demons running amok in the village and runs into Gyoko, who has cornered Kotetsu and Kanamori. However, before he could finish the swordsmiths and Nezuko inside the hut, he's challenged by Mitsuri, who arrived just in time to save the duo from Gyoko's poison needles. A battle erupts, and soon Mitsuri finds herself at a severe disadvantage as Gyoko's speed proves to be more difficult to counter than anticipated. Mitsuri buys enough time for the swordsmiths to escape. However, as her clashes with Gyoko start getting severe, they end up destroying Nezuko's hut, effectively throwing him out. Nezuko pays no heed to the minor disturbances and continues on with his work, making Gyoko jealous of his artistic perseverance. He tries to attack Nezuko, however, he soon gets shot at from a distance and retreats into his vase. Mitsuri turns around and witnesses Tanjiro, Genya, and Nezuko chasing a tiny demon, which shocks her. Nonetheless, she warns them about Gyoko. However, he had transformed into his final state by then. Tanjiro spots his sword being sharpened by Nezuko and grabs it before Nezuko could put a handle on it, making him furious. Genya swings his wakizashi, but he is unable to behead Hantengu. Instead, the attack infuriates him enough to force him to transform into Yurumi. Mitsuri, while handling the overwhelming threat of Gyoko and a newly transformed Hantengu, finally summons her Demon Slayer mark. She catches Gyoko's head in her whip, and before he could slither and touch her in order to turn her into a fish, she tightens the grip and beheads the demon. Genya, who's caught by Urumi, is able to break free and make room for Tanjiro to locate the real body cowering away in his heart. He soon notices the head of Gyoko, trying to regenerate. However, in a last-ditch effort, he loads the final bullet in his shotgun and blows Gyoko to pieces. Urumi suddenly starts to thin, making Gyoko panic. However, before he could leave his body and run, Tanjiro cuts open Urumi and swings his sword a second time to behead Hantengu. The upper four tries his best to stop Tanjiro by hardening his neck. However, suddenly, Gyomei arrives at the scene, revealing that Zohakuten has depleted himself and helps Tanjiro get his sword all the way through Hantengu's neck, killing him. But what would have happened if Gyomei had replaced Mitsuri instead of Moichiro? Let's find out. All the Slayers arrive at the Swordsmith village like usual. However, this time around, Tanjiro actively saves Kotetsu from Moichiro's bullying, and after the Mist Hashira breaks the arm of the Yorichi doll, Kotetsu agrees to train Tanjiro. However, after Tanjiro beheads the Yorichi doll, he discovers that it contains a like button, so he clicks it all the way to 2.5k. Okay, kidding. Later that night, Moichiro wakes Tanjiro up, and they end up facing Hantengu like in the original story. Genya arrives at the scene too, and as Nezuko transforms into her adult state, a nasty fight erupts between the Slayers and the demons. As Genya is cornered by Izetsu, Sekido rains thunder on Nezuko, Tanjiro smashes Yorogi back into the house, and Moichiro rushes to blitz Karaku. A very strange sound, almost equivalent to a bomb, echoes around the forest. The fight continues, and as Moichiro closes in on Karaku, he waves his fan to send Moichiro flying into the air. However, this time around, as Moichiro's life flashes while he's in the air, Gyomei comes out of nowhere and catches Moichiro mid-air. In a flashback, we see the fish demons wreaking havoc around town, but they are swiftly smashed to the ground as Gyomei arrives to save the village chief. After successfully countering the fish demons, Gyomei immediately heads to the other side of the village, where Moichiro and the others are fighting Hantengu, as he locates them using his hearing. However, on his way, he sees a hut with a light piercing out of it. He stops to warn the residents and finds Hagenezuka working, along with a bloodied Kotetsu and Kanamori convincing him to leave. As soon as Gyomei sees this, he is attacked by Gyoko using his poison needles from behind. However, all of them get deflected due to Gyomei's massive flail and axe hanging on his back. Gyomei immediately initiates the first form in order to grind Gyoko into nasty demon meat. However, Gyoko retreats into one of his vases, but as soon as Gyoko's about to erupt out of another one of his vases, he finds Gyomei standing right above it to face him, making the fish demon shit in its own pot. Gyomei, realizing how the demon functions, begins to break his vases without a second thought, forcing the demon to transform into his final form. Gyomei soon realizes that something has changed about the demon, so he proceeds to take caution by initiating a ranged attack towards the demon. However, as soon as he senses Gyoko smiling right when the axe was about to touch his hand, he pulls it back, stating that the demon has something up his sleeve and that he shouldn't let him touch anything. Soon, Gyoko starts running wild, converting the trees around him into fish, confirming Gyomei's suspicions. However, Gyomei, showing no signs of fright, vanishes right in front of Gyoko's misplaced eyes. Gyoko gets confused, but before he could sense something, his head rolls on the floor and is immediately crushed by Gyomei's flail as he moves forward to help Tanjiro, instructing the swordsmiths to hide in the meantime. Back in the present, Gyomei catches Moichiro and he explains that they're facing the Upper Moon 4, who can split his body into 4. Tanjiro, while attacking Sekido, yells out that they need to behead them all together in order to win. Thus, Gyomei and Moichiro rush towards Sekido and Yoroki, while Tanjiro pushes towards Sekido. Witnessing this, Genya takes a huge bite out of Izetsu's flesh and transforms into a hybrid. They all work together, and Tanjiro, with the help of Nezuko, is able to behead Sekido along with all the other forms of Hantengu. Gyomei and Moichiro immediately realize that this is not the end, and so does Tanjiro as he gets a whiff of Hantengu's mini form running wild in the woods. Tanjiro relays this information to the others, which prompts Moichiro to follow him into the woods. Sekido pulls everyone in as he transforms into Zohakuten, while Gyomei, Nezuko, and Genya stay back to hold off Zohakuten. Soon enough, Tanjiro locates Hantengu, and Moichiro rushes to behead him. However, Hantengu unleashes Urumi in a last-ditch effort to save himself. Tanjiro rushes from behind and jumps above Moichiro to cut down Urumi, while Moichiro uses his blade to behead the little Hantengu hiding away in Urumi's heart. How did you like our take on the story? Do comment your favorite part. I'll be back with an even awesomer video, so till then, see ya!